Welcome to another edition of the Church Solutions Podcast.
Hello, my name is Steve Lacy.
See,
And
if
who,
folks, I
and
know
who
you
are
don't like,
you?
oh, I'm Phil Thompson. So I know you don't like to banter, but if people could only get the outtakes of what we're doing before we actually press record. Well, actually, we did press record. We're just not going to let people see your, uh, your critique of my fashion sense.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a V-neck deal with long sleeves. Just everybody keep a note of it. If you're watching on video. If you're doing audio, you have no idea. But we're not going to describe what I'm wearing today. But we are going to describe how you, if you're involved in your church, which I assume you are, if you're listening to this podcast or watching this video, how if you have a desire to kind of move your church or ministry or really any organization forward in the realm of technology, we're going to show you how to do it.
Yes. So what's the headline, punchline? Moving forward with innovative church or barriers to innovative church technology, right? Would that be
Yeah, we
the
don't have
title
a
of this
title, but we can, we'll probably put it on our blog. But yeah, so it's all about, look, I know there's people listening that have like, hey, this is a great idea. We should do this at our church. And involve some use of technology. But then you come up against resistance from the force or from the board or from somebody who feels
Yes.
like, nah, we can't do that, or we shouldn't do that, or, it's technology. Oh my goodness, it's technology. We might, somebody might hack into us or something. So we're going to talk a little bit about how you can maybe help your church move forward using technology.
Yes.
That's
And
all.
there's kind of a wave of tech that has, hit the church over the past 20 years or so, from, church kid check-in systems to
Mhm.
kiosks in the foyer to, way
Yeah.
back in the day, PowerPoint in the service was a big deal.
Ooh,
having
yes.
having lyrics of the worship
Yeah.
was a big deal. So there's been
Yeah.
this kind of wave of
Yeah. And
technology.
in 1950s, it was overhead projectors.
Oh yeah, that was the tech
I,
that
I Yeah. A true story. J. Vernon McGee, who you may know who he
oh yeah,
is,
he's a Bible answer man, right?
through the Bible. No, he's not. No,
He's not the Bible
I
answer
love
man.
it when I
Okay.
get a chance to correct you.
Yes.
Uh, it was through the Bible, is what it was. The Bible answer
Okay.
man was Walter Martin and then some other character
That's
for
right.
that.
That's
But
exactly right.
I met Walter Martin one time and interviewed him, but that's another story.
But J.
But
Burnham McGee has a much better name though.
J. Vernon McGee, he actually got lots of flack. And, for some of us, we would think, J. Vernon McGee, not exactly on the cutting edge. But actually, he was on the cutting edge of technology. And besides using radio, he also had one of the first signs in his town that actually lit up.
Oh yeah.
And he got resistance from it.
Oh, for having a sign. I thought you were
Sign
going
that
to tell
lit
me
up.
for having an overhead projector.
Oh, no.
But
No,
oh,
well,
okay.
I don't know. He probably had that too. But
Probably 90% of our audience doesn't even know what an overhead projector is. They're thinking, oh yeah, that projector that hangs from the ceiling, that's the overhead projector.
no, I'm talking about the transparency. Maybe I didn't use the
Yeah,
right
yeah,
term.
yeah.
It's the
No,
transparency.
you're using the
Yeah,
exact right term,
yeah,
but it's kind of funny that,
yeah,
like, if I went to my kids and I said, "Oh yeah, that overhead projector," they'd go, "Oh yeah, that
yeah.
thing that
The
shines on the wall."
I'm old enough to remember like when I used to lead music, and there'd be somebody sitting down, on the transparent overhead deal, and they would just take these transparent sheets
Right.
of
Yeah.
lyrics, right? And so, I would always get
For every verse, right? I mean, they were down typically up front, and they had
right,
a stack
exactly.
of
Yeah, typically up
transparencies.
front with a stack of transparencies and a big box that had them in there. And I remember getting frustrated leading music because they would sometimes get mixed up, or they be behind, kind of like it is now with PowerPoint and Pro Presenter, but they'd get behind, they get mixed up, or they'd get it upside down, or something. It's like,
Or
oh, come on.
backwards. You laid in backwards. That'd be great.
Try to lead people in the presence of God. What's wrong with you? So anyhow, all right. So look, let's stop the bantering here. And let's talk about some common barriers that we face and how we can overcome those. The first one, number one, is no
No,
leadership.
no leadership.
No
Yes.
leadership. The leadership of your church, uh, well, they're not behind it. If they're not involved in it, at least understanding it and knowing it, and if you can't get their support,
Right. It's
uh,
gonna, yeah. And you don't have to be a techie person knowing all the technology to, you don't have to be a tech leader. You don't have to be the leader that knows tech, but the leadership needs to recognize the value of it and be able to, promote it and go that route.
yeah, yeah, and so you've got to get the leadership. And depending on how your church is set up, lots of churches are set up differently, but certainly the senior pastor and the staff, and then many churches are really board heavy. Leadership team you could call them, or your board or your committee. You really need to get them on board, and that may take
Right.
a while.
Right. Well, you need I don't know if it's jumping into one of our other points, but you do need someone that's going to be a proponent to work with the leadership and educate the leadership, and leadership needs to be exposed to benefits and that sort of thing. So,
Yep.
I mean, even at our church, I wouldn't consider our senior pastor a real techie guy, but he does recognize the value of technology.
Yes, he
So,
does. Yeah.
so, so yes, if you don't have the leadership involved, it's never going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah. And then the second point here, moving along, another barrier you're going to run up against is having no influence. So no leadership's one barrier. So you got to change that. You got to work with your leadership, but influence is also kind of a part of that. But you want to be able to influence. You want to have people that are influencers. That's kind of a term today, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess
Millennials.
that's kind of what I was talking about. I
Oh,
guess
okay. Well, then you jumped.
indirectly was,
Yeah, you
yeah, I did
jumped.
jump ahead. So
That's fine.
having somebody that's, I, I don't know. I think of these names pop into my head that nobody would really know, but you and I would know that are just kind of champions of the tech.
Mhm.
They're not on the leadership board,
Right.
but there's somebody that's like, wow, here's an opportunity. Our church could really leverage this. They understand the opportunity, and then they go and influence. They got to have some influence with the leadership or
Right.
just other people and even the
Yeah.
congregation in general.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So there's
Absolutely.
that.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
so that's what we're talking about when we're talking about this influence point, right? It's just having
Sounds
is
good
that
enough. Yeah.
is that what we're talking about? I mean,
That's
you
yeah.
created the
That's.
notes here.
I know. Well, no, you're on board with it. I mean,
Okay.
we're just kind of living here, but yeah, you're absolutely right. You want people involved. Uh, you want leadership, the staff, and then as you just said, there's key volunteers and people that have influence in your church and
All right.
influence around small groups and different areas.
Right. And if you're I was going to digress into some authors and books. I think they referred to these influencers as mavens. So anyway, just we beat this one to death here. Yeah, you need somebody with some influence that's going to help steer things.
Right.
And they don't have to be leadership, but they're typically people that are fairly well connected within the congregation. They have a decent network, and they can kind of help drive the attitude of the church in a certain direction.
Yeah. Yep. Very good.
Is that vague enough?
I think that's good. I think that's good. Yeah. Yeah. Let's move on since
All
we're.
right.
So the third point, the third barrier you're going to run up against is if you're able to at least get the thing moving. Maybe you've got some people. I don't know. Let's talk about giving. Let's use an example. You've set it up now where people. Let's say you ran across this great company called Church App Live, and churchapplive.com. And they have a mobile app, and there's lots of features, and one of those is giving online. So let's say you've convinced leadership, yeah, all right, we'll give it a shot, let's do it. You've got to get people aware that this technology is available to them and that it's easy to use and it will benefit them. And so you've got to get it out there. You can't just launch it and then forget about it. Do you follow what I'm saying?
Yes.
I mean, we run in this, I
Yes.
think, a lot. And I'm using Church App Live because that's one of our products. So I'm
Yeah.
shamelessly plugging us. But or
But it
streaming
can be
video.
anything.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
could be. So that's why we always encourage people, especially in the realm of streaming video, but even if you've got a mobile app that we have, is get it out there, put it in your newsletter consistently. Make sure people are aware. Like if churches are doing streaming video, we always encourage the pastors to greet the online community, even as they're greeting their church. They get up, they get on the platform, and they might say, "Good morning, welcome." Well, include the streaming video viewers. So say, and those of you watching online today, thanks for being a part
Right.
of our service. That brings awareness
Right. And
to the
there's,
congregation.
and even going beyond awareness, I know that some churches, actually, my home church will introduce incentives for use of the technology for the congregation. So, for example, um, there's for the big Super Bowl Sunday coming up, they're giving away a big screen TV, but only to those that are checking in electronically.
Wow.
So they're trying to incentivize certain behaviors, and so that's another way to kind of promote
Wow.
the tech and create
That's
some incentives. You can only win if you've you know used the tech to get your name included in the list.
wow.
So
I need to. So I don't go there anymore. Can I still get involved? What if I win? Wouldn't it be funny if I won the thing? And they're like, "Oh no, that's Phil Thompson. We
he
remember
used to
that
work
guy.
here.
It's a problem." All right.
Yeah, right.
Well, that's a good point. Incentive, so maybe your church can't afford to give away a 65-inch color TV or whatever it is, but maybe you can give them an incentive in some other way. I don't know, maybe gift cards or coffee
Yeah.
cards or something. I don't know. But the point is you want people to become aware of this, and just mentioning it a couple times and then forgetting about it, it ain't gonna fly,
Right.
you know, especially if it's really new. I mean, if I'm making announcements at my church, every single announcement I ever make, I'm actually finally getting my way where we're not making a lot of announcements anymore. But whenever I do make an announcement on the vital things, I always say, if you want to give, you could also give online. And here's how you do it. Go to our website, blah, blah, blah. So it brings awareness to people, whatever it is you're
Right.
using, whatever
Yeah.
technology you're introducing.
Just another quick example is we do, you talked about online giving. We have EFT things,
Mhm.
and we mail envelopes to the home, and you
Mhm.
just fill out the form, and that'll, do auto draft and that sort of thing. So anyway,
Yeah. And
you just
EFT, for those who
drop,
don't know, EFT is
uh,
electronic funds transfer.
yes. So it's an automatic draw from your uh, checking account, and it makes it super easy. So they let people know that it's available by sending out the forms to sign up for it. So,
Yeah. Yeah. Mhm.
all right. Number four, our fourth barrier to technology adoption
Yeah.
is
Trust.
trust
Trust
issues.
issues. Yep. That's a very real concern that many people have using, depending on what kind of technology you're introducing. Uh, if people in your church don't trust the technology you're promoting, then they won't use it,
Yeah.
whatever it is you might be pushing. So, if you want to build trust, you not only not have to just go into the congregation with the specific thing you're recommending, but you got to keep in mind the roadblocks that people have with certain types of technology. And again, we've been talking a lot about giving online. Some people are afraid to do that. Oh my goodness, if I give online, you know, what's going to happen? What if they hack into my bank account? And so you have to talk about how it can be safe, how it can be secure,
Hmm.
and that's just one area.
Right.
But
That's a good
that's just one
example
example.
for the trust issue.
Yeah. Yeah. So whatever. technology you are going to introduce or use, you've got to identify the common objectives, and one of the things that we do even in our meetings that we have with streamingchurch.tv, we talk, with Paul and you and I, we always talk about like, okay, this is an idea, but what about the what ifs? Okay, what's the barriers here? What's the objections? What's the, common, you know, they call devil's advocate or whatever, but and I think you have to do that with technology too. What is it about this new thing we're using that people might object to?
Right.
And if, how can we overcome that? How can we explain that so that it's really something they can embrace and overcome that? So very, very important to keep that in mind.
All right. So number 5 on our list here,
5.
we have listed as low desire.
Yeah, low desire. When you remember, we're talking about obstacles here. So
yeah, or
there's
barriers to,
people that are hit with all sorts of promotional offers at home and at their job, and get the latest this and the latest that, the latest device, the latest app. And so in many cases, they're just like, I don't have any desire to use that thing. And so that many times can be the hesitation that people have. So you got to ask some questions. You got to answer these questions. Why should a member of my church use this thing that I'm introducing? How are they going to benefit? How will they benefit? How will it make their life easier? How will it make our church better? How will it help us fulfill our mission and our purpose? And then you've got to begin to answer those questions, because if people have no desire to use it, it's not going to go very far. And, it's going to fall flat eventually here. So you got to connect with the felt needs of your church and the people in it, and help them. You got to kind of lead them in using technology.
Exactly.
Anything to add to that?
No, I mean, that's a tough one always, right? Because everyone is exposed to all these different things. I think if and they have low desire, so you may increase their desire through an incentive or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I know, we've talked, we do mobile apps, but I think you and I have had conversations where you don't, maybe it's not you, maybe it's somebody else, but you don't have any desire to put an app on your phone. I don't need to have an app on my phone.
It's really common.
Yeah. So again, we're kind of going back to apps, giving online, all that, but this thing covers any technology. But again, you've got to show people, well, here's the benefits of using this app. If you're doing an app, if you're introducing an app, here's why it's easy, and it helps.
That's a good case, because everyone goes through this where they're like, I got a ton of apps. I don't want to put another app in unless it's going to be something that's really going to benefit me. The real estate on my phone it's not worthy of it until I can be convinced that I'm going to get something out of it. So I mean, I do this with, I don't know how many years I've been hit up by, credit card companies. You have a credit card with a certain company, they say, install our app. And I'm like, I'm not going to install your app. I have no need to install your app. And I had to do something. I can't remember what it was. And then one of the only ways to do it was through the app. And I installed the app, and I'm like, wow, the app is actually better than their website for, getting the info that I need.
Right.
It's just so much, so I'm like, wow, I'm going to not only install that app, I'm going to stick it on one of the screens on my phone so it's there and so I've started using, this is not within the church, but it's a good example of, I had a really low desire. I'm like, I don't need silly credit card app on my phone. But.
Right. Well, and then I got an example, there's an app that allows you to send money to anybody, directly to them. Shall we mention it? Venmo. And I had no desire to put Venmo on my phone, but my son was up in Phoenix going to school up there, and he convinced me to use it, and I like it because I'm able to When he was up in school, I was able, if he needed a little extra money for something, car repair or something going on, I could just instantly send him the money. It was like really quick and easy. And then when I won my fantasy football league at my church, they Venmoed me the money because there was actually a prize.
Uh,
So so I'm
well,
sure there's people.
Venmo is the young person's PayPal. So,
It is, yeah, it is. But again, I'm using it. I'm young at heart, but I
yeah,
found it already to
yeah,
be
I
really
was sold it
useful.
too.
Yeah, yeah. So anyhow, those are five things. I think that's all we got, right? Five
That's it.
things. Look, I'd encourage you, as a volunteer, as a pastor, whatever your position is, if you have a desire to help your church use technology, and I think if you're listening to this podcast or watching this on YouTube or somewhere else, go for it. And we're just trying to throw some things out here to help you get past those obstacles. And those were probably the most five common obstacles. There's probably a lot more depending on your situation and what you're trying to do. But keep pushing for it, keep using it, because in our opinions, we really believe, technology can be a great tool for churches and ministries to use to fulfill their purpose and vision. And, it's time to get out of the 20th century into the 21st. And hopefully these things can help.
Exactly. Ditto that.
All right.
You did a
Good
good
deal.
job.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. Let me mark that on my calendar here. I've got a good job from Steve. All right. So, folks, we'd love to get your feedback on this.
You have a mark more than one every day now.
I'm getting there.
Go.
It's only been 20 years now. The feedback we get from you is appreciated. So send us an email, support@streamingchurch.tv. Speaking of technology, that's one way to get a hold of it. It's probably the easiest way to get a hold of us. Or you can go to our website. We got a new website too.
We do.
Talked about this last week, but in case you just happen to catch this, just go to streamingchurch.tv and check out our new improved website and give us some feedback. We'd love to hear from you.
Send us a thumbs up, a thumbs down, or
Yeah,
whatever.
absolutely.
Something
Whatever.
you
Yeah,
like or something that annoys you. We're interested in both.
absolutely.
So
Yeah, good deal. All right. Well, we are done. Thank you very much, Steve Lacy.
you're welcome.
And I'm Phil Thompson, and thank you for the privilege of your time today. We really do appreciate you listening and watching, depending on what platform you're looking at this on. Thanks so much for spending a little bit of time with us today on the Church Solutions Podcast. We'll see you again next time. Take care.